Oh, I have the wrong booklet right now. Because yesterday I had this. Sorry. So one thing to remember about buying a used car, especially if it's private, you want to have the safety, the TOD, and the bill of sale. These three documents you need to have with you if you want to go and insure your vehicle. Another new concept is the book value. When it comes to used car, I have to give you the book value. Autopac or MPI, they kind of are the same thing. They will go either by the book value or how much you paid, but they will always tax on the larger amount. Okay. Next thing I wanted to highlight, if we come over to 15 before we move on, is this, the taxing when it comes to vehicle finance. Okay. That table is also found on your formula sheet. This formula sheet is exactly the same one you're going to get on the day of the exam. It's going to be inside the booklet. You're going to tear it out. It's going to be a white copy. That's going to be the formula sheet you get. So you don't get to bring this one in, but you get one there. But we're going to use this along this course. So if you go to the back of this, if you're ever wondering, how do I tax things? Okay, this is a reminder of how it's done. One thing I would like you to add, because they made this change just recently, PST is also referred to as RST. Okay, so RST and PST mean the same thing. Regional sales tax or provincial sales tax, it's the same thing. So I don't know why they had to go ahead and change it on us, but hey, it is what it is. All right. So listen carefully, folks. These tax rates here, they translate into the formula, okay? So for example, safety only gets taxed 5%. That's why this formula is multiplying safety by 1.05. It's very low. It's 1.05. Parts and labor, okay? What are parts and labor taxed at? Right here, materials and labor, it's the same thing. RST, GST, it's 12%. That's why whenever you figure out your parts and labor, I multiply by 1.12, right? And the car itself is taxed 12%, but make sure you take off the trade-in if there is one. And the lien, look at the lien, it is never multiplied by anything because a lien search is not taxed, right? So if you're wondering, Mr. Dirksen, is this formula including all taxes? Yes, okay? If you follow this, it includes all taxes. Maybe that's what I will do. Maybe this will make a difference. If we have this on your study sheet, you should have this includes taxes, right? Includes tax, and I will also say includes tax. So if you do this, you're effectively figuring out the price of the car plus all applicable taxes. And I asked you to add this to your study sheet and have a heading used vehicle, and then you type you copy this in there. And then there's used private or used dealer. If it's a private sale, folks, the question will give you the book value so that you can pick which one goes into this formula. Okay. Lots of little things that you need to remember. Okay, keep going. Let's go to 16 and put this to the test. I will finish the example I started and then give you one more so that you're prepared and you can actually see, hey, new and used, how do I work with this now? So page 16, question 2. There we bought a Jeep Wrangler as is. There was a book value, safety, and a lien. So we knew that it was a private sale, so we used this formula. We plugged in the purchase price. Then it was between purchase and the book value. Book value won that battle, so you're going to pay 7% tax on that. Okay, 65 times 1.05 and 30. So you're basically saying the car is 24,900 and this is the tax portion that we add to that thing. Plus this, plus this. So this is after tax. Do not multiply by 1.12 again. Okay? So now there's the part B, because sometimes the province has done this. They just want to know how much have you paid in taxes. So watch what I'm going to do. Use private. I'm just going to do this one. If I go back up here, look where my pencil is. I'm going to do the 32,000 times 0.07 plus, what's the next part? The safety was $65. Instead of 1.05, I'm going to multiply it by 0.05. Because I just want to know what the taxes themselves are. And you can do mental math. What are the taxes if you go from 65 to 68.25? It's $3.25, right? So if you catch that, absolutely you go for it. That's it. So only these two things were taxed. I copied it down here. The $30 doesn't apply, right? So I'm going to borrow my numbers, 2240 plus, I'm just going to do mental math here and know that it's 325. So all taxes would be, on this particular vehicle, you paid $2,243.25. If you need if you have a red pen, maybe it is a good idea to turn this into a zero like that, right? So you see it sticks out, or highlight it, or whatever you need to do. Okay, let's go to example 1. I skipped that on during yesterday's lesson, but we're going to try that. Let's do that part right there. You agree on a price for $12,999 for a used car at a local, what is this, dealership, right? So it's used, all right, but we need to know, is it private or dealer? It's dealer. You had a remote starter for $499.99, and you get an offer of $3,500 for your old car. How much did you pay including tax? So you're going to go used dealer, and it calls for sticker minus trade. This is for you because it's your notes, right? Times 1.12. What does it ask for next? I think it's safety. Safety times 1.05 plus parts and labor, times 1.12 plus a lien search, which does not get taxed. Question. Does this, are we dealing with a lien search in this case? Cross that out, that you're just not going to worry about it. Are we dealing with parts and labor? Maybe, right? Like this $499 is parts and labor, correct? Parts and labor gets taxed 12%, correct? But Mr. Dirksen, isn't parts and labor also, like, if you add options, isn't that under the sticker price? Yes. So you could include it in the sticker price, or you can do parts and labor separately on the side. I'm going to just ignore it. I'm going to ignore that for now. I'm going to take care of the option here under sticker. Does it talk about safety? No. So really, this long formula is just down to this. Okay? So let's do the sticker price. The sticker is $12,999 plus $499.99. $13,498.99. That's my sticker price. And now I'm going to use the used dealer. $13,498.99. I take away the trade-in because it does mention that there is one. And all of that gets taxed 12%. That's 9,909, 899 times 1.12. So you have to be creative on using that formula. You're gonna have to slice and reduce it sometimes and not think, oh my goodness, where's all the stuff that I'm missing? Okay, if it's not there, don't worry about it. Okay, I will tell you this, if you buy from a dealer, 99% of the time they already did the safety. They took care of it. They did all the repairs that are required to sell it to you. That's why technically we wouldn't do safety normally under dealer. Any parts and labor, like anything that needed to be done to pass the safety, is already taken care of. And the lien search from a dealer, you technically don't need to do a lien search because they've done it. They don't want to be stuck with a stolen car or like with a car that is like belongs to the bank, right? So this is more like a real life example that we technically wouldn't have to worry about these, but sometimes dealers have done that where they have like an old trade-in, somebody traded in just this old rusty car, and they'll be like, hey, if you want it, we'll sell it to you as is, no safety, nothing. So sometimes safety might be on you, okay? So that's that, okay? You need to stop hearing my voice for a little bit, okay? It's too much for you to handle. So 17, I'm gonna ask you to try that one, okay? Try that one. See if you can. I'm just going to give you a hint. Yeah.
When you're done.
Come and see you? I will. I'm just going to give you a heads up with this one. Parts and labor. Let's just go ahead and do that already. I did break this down. So you have the new version of the booklet. Just worry about the parts and labor before tax. Do not add any taxes. So you're going to have to figure out all the parts and labor, all the pieces that are repaired on this car. Try to find a total for all the repairs that are being done, okay? Including the labor, okay? Try to figure that out and then plug it into the next pieces there, okay? Yeah, go ahead. Just do A for now. So, either correct or make changes, or just make sure you got it right, okay? So parts and labor. Two new headlights. What I'm gonna do this. 2 headlights that cost $60 each. There are 4 brakes, like brake pads. Shh, no talking right now, guys. 4 times 150. A new fuel pump, that's 190. And watch this, the labor, like the work that was needed, it took 2 hours. Watch this, this could be 2.5 hours, 2 3/4, you name it, but we just take that, right? So you go 2 hours and you multiply it by the hourly wage, which is $65, like that. That's basically how I would show it. Everybody does it differently. That's fine. 4 times 150 is 600. 190. 2 times 65 is 130. And when you add all of that up, what did I see there? I saw 1,040 for some of you. Yeah, I get 1,040. And do I add taxes to this? In this case, you don't, because it says before taxes. Okay? Before taxes. So this is it. You circle that one, you put a dollar sign in front of it. That is your total parts and labor category. The total cost to purchase the car plus tax. So here we do want taxes. I'm going to use the used private formula because it's a private sale. What comes first? How much are you agreeing to pay for the car? $9,500, right? And what goes in this part right here? You got to pick between the book value and the actual value. The book value is higher, so that's the one that goes in here. And I do not like to highlight. Sometimes I highlight the 10,000 and the 10,000 up here, and then students think, oh, it's always the book value that goes in here. No, it's the higher of the two, okay? Plus, what does it call for, the formula? It calls for safety, right? Safety is $40, and that gets taxed 5%, GST only. Plus, my parts and labor, I've conveniently figured it out already. Please do it on the side no matter what. I would say always do the parts and labor somewhere on the sides, or else it gets very messy. Some students want to just make one big long formula, and I would advise against it. Is there a lien search in this case? There's no lien search, so we don't need to worry about it, right? Just write down no lien here. So here we go, $9,500 plus this gives you $700, right? If you multiply these two, this times that, that gives you $42. So it's basically $40 plus $2, so it's $42 in total. Plus this part right here is $1,164.80. When you add that all up, you get your final answer, $11,406.80. Oh, Mr. Erickson, it says plus tax. So I'm just going to multiply this by 1.12. Don't do it. Don't do it. This formula includes all applicable taxes already. Okay. If you bought this at a dealer, guys, just a quick question. If you bought it at a dealer, do you need the book value? No. And I think the reason is because a dealer will not try to cheat. Like they will be like, this is how much it was, right? Because they're a company. They get in trouble if they have a reputation to uphold, right? So that's that. Total taxes paid after all repairs. Why is this one different? This is just the taxes paid. Okay. How would you do that? I would say I would go up here and just grab the taxes. The 700, I'm going to walk you through the long way though. Yeah. Just wait a little bit. In a bit. What will I do here? 40 times 0.05. Like I removed the 1. The 1 from up here is now gone, right? Plus 1,040. That's my parts and labor, right, guys? What will I multiply that by? 0.12. Yeah, just the taxes. So if you put the 1 in front, it takes the actual parts and labor and slaps the taxes on top of it, so you get the whole thing. You don't want the whole thing. 700 plus $2 plus this part right here is 124.80. If you add up all your numbers there, you get an 826.80 out of it. 826.80. Let me move that up so you can see it. Taxes only paid. Okay, so that's how you would do a question like this. Please don't add the 9,500. Okay, the 9,500 is like the actual car. You just want the taxes you paid thereafter. Okay. All right. How about after this, now you try another one. See if you are a bit more comfortable with one like a question like this on your own, okay? There are tables sometimes. So I'm gonna ask you to try 4 and 5 on page 18, okay? No talking. The exact same answer, so that's, if you want to keep working, that's fine. But in this case, there is a lot of things happening. So I'm going to do the parts and labor first. Okay, I'm going to figure out my subtotal before I use that long equation. It is a private sale, okay? It is a used private. We know that, but I'll do parts and labor. So it says that diagnostic is just basically when they check your engine, make sure everything is all right. So that would be definitely work. $650 for engine work, $50 for 3.5 hours. So I'll show this. Okay. Anytime there's you're paying for a certain amount of hours. It could be liters, like for oil, 5.5 liters of oil, and what it is per liter. You just multiply them, okay? Just like that. And there are 4 shocks. They're $82 each, okay? I don't know if you noticed that. So if you do this, this gives you, where am I at here? 175, right? And 4 times 82 is 328. So my parts and labor before taxes is going to be 1243. Okay, important but not the final answer yet. I'm going to actually box this in. It's like this is something that I did on the side. I figure out all the things that happen to the car in terms of parts and labor. This will be taxed what? Always. Parts and labor gets taxed 12%, right? Is safety part of this? Safety gets taxed differently, so don't bundle it up, right? You're going to get it wrong. So use private. The car is worth $16,500. What am I going to pay taxes on, like the PST? The greater of the two, right? And 16,500 is greater. So yes, the price of the actual car is what Autopack is going to use to tax you, to tax the 7%. Plus, what's next? Safety, right? That's the order that I gave you. 60 times 1.05. That takes care of the taxes on the safety. Parts and labor, 1243 times 1.12. Perfect. And there is a lien search, right? Mr. Dirksen, will it always be this long? Will you always have every single component in it? Probably not. It's going to be a little bit of a nightmare to mark that every single time. But you should be prepared for it. Okay, it could be a car, a used private that only has safety and the price of the car, right? So then it would just be these 3 parts right there. So 16,500 plus this part right here gives me 1155. This part right here is, where are we? 63. And this part right here, the parts and labor, is 1392.16. And I tack on the 20 at the end. You know what a trick question would be? You know, someone paid $20 for safety. Calculate the total cost after tax. What would it be? If it's safety, it'd be $20, right? You wouldn't add any tax. So be prepared for those types of questions. Boom, there you have your final answer right there. Okay, I'm going to say this. After today, you should be able to do 20 to 22. So I'm just going to write that down here. But before we go, we're going to talk about some pros and cons of buying used. You need to have a couple. Okay. So example 5 for now is just going to be maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, I somehow go back and review. But what I like about question 5 is that the province says sometimes they will do tables. Sometimes they will give you the information in a table. I prefer tables. You might not, but there it is. Okay? Let's go to 19. I'll talk about pros and cons. Okay? I should probably get you to ChatGPT these nowadays, right? 19. Not now, Crisanto, just wait. Pros, lower potential for hidden damage, right? If you buy used from a dealer, there's lower potential for hidden damage. Dealers care about their reputation. Okay, if a dealer gets a bad reputation, bad rep, they're not gonna get customers. If you go from a dealer, there's less paperwork, right? They take care of most paperwork, right? Most of it. Let's just go most of it. So that would be a reason to go with a dealer. They will offer extended warranty, right? Even if the original has expired. So they will sell you extended warranty just in case your transmission. It could be argued that you actually need it more when it's used than when it's brand new. You can trade in your own vehicle, right? I will just leave it as that, just leave it like that. What are some cons of going with a dealer as opposed to private? You pay higher taxes, always, 12%. Will cost more overall. What do I have in my notes here? Okay. They mark up to profit. Okay, so whenever they get a trade-in or someone wants them to sell the car, they will like add a certain amount to it because they want to make money, right? They're in the business of making money. They know exactly how much they paid for it. And this leads to less room to negotiate, okay? A dealer will not go as much down as a private person because they know my bottom line is $15,000. If I go under that, I lose. A private person might be like, I've been having it on the market for a month now. I want to get rid of it. And this person is offering me cash. Take it for 15, right? Or less. So those are a few things. Buying privately, you pay less tax. RST only, 7%. There's more room. That's good. Thank you, though. Cons, hidden damage, right? Seller may not disclose damages. We all know that a car sometimes has a little bit of an issue, but if you didn't tell someone, they wouldn't figure it out. So maybe this person's like, let them figure it out once they drive it, right? More hassle on your part. You need a bill of sale. Like if you're actually, most of the time the person selling has the bill of sale, but there's more to it. And you think we're done, right? Hold on. There's one more thing I want to add. I'm just trying to look for it. We're going to hop to 23. Write this down. More on page 23. Make sure you have this on there so you're not just thinking this is it. We're going to actually go to the bottom of 23, the very bottom half. It's used car. The top is for new car. So if you want to copy down the pros and cons of a new vehicle up here, so you have it all in one place, you go for it. But I'm going to focus on the used, and that'll be it for today, just a couple. Advantages. It is cheaper, but that's not good enough. Okay, so I'll say this. Costs less to insure, so that would be an acceptable answer for saying it's cheaper. Okay. Lower depreciation costs. You don't lose as much money with a used car. Why does it cost less to insure a used car? It costs less to replace, basically. Okay. What do I want to say? This is our next bullet here. You don't pay freight / AC tax. I will say this, options cost less. So if you look for a car and it has leather seats, it's not like all of a sudden the price goes up significantly, but if you buy it brand new, as soon as you go leather seats, it's going to go up quite a bit. I might add more later. Disadvantages of buying a used car is hidden damage, not as fuel efficient. Make sure you write these down. Not as safe because it doesn't have all the latest safety features. Disadvantages could be also out of warranty, possibly out of warranty. And that gets me to the next point, higher maintenance costs. Under advantages, you can say save on taxes, but you have to say if bought privately. If bought privately. And that's it. So what was the homework? 22, 23. Sorry, you can't see that back there. I'm going to try here. Is that better?